All right, welcome back. This is going to be part 31 of Dinosaurs and Man presentation. The last video that I did, I was ending up with Behemoth, and I thought that since I was into the book of Job, that we would go ahead and knock out this other mysterious animal mentioned in Scripture, not only in Job, but in other parts of the Bible, and we're going to look at that. It's called the unicorn. The unicorn. And, we think of the horse with a horn coming out of its head. That's what we think of when we think of unicorns, some mythological beast. And it's kind of sad that, because of that, whenever someone that don't even believe in the Bible, when they see the Bible relating a unicorn to it, they're going to think, oh, well, see, it's nothing but a bunch of fantasy. Because it's talking about unicorns, and unicorns don't exist. And so, but we need to really think about what exactly are they talking about whenever they translated this into unicorns. What were they, what was it about this animal that they thought it was best to call it a unicorn? And so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at that. And so I think I've gone about as deep as I can go to trying to define this and trying to look at what they're talking about. And so I'm going to give you some ideas, and so you can kind of take it in, chew on it, look at the information yourself, see if you come up with anything different. I'm willing to listen. But let's go ahead and let's look at the Britannica. What does the Britannica have to say about a unicorn? It says it's a mythological animal resembling a horse or a goat. Now, that's something I wasn't aware of, that it mentions even a goat. When I think of unicorns, I just think of horses. But it said, or a goat, with a single horn on its forehead. The unicorn appeared in early Mesopotamian artworks, and it also was referred to in the ancient myths of India and China. The earliest description in Greek literature of a single-horned monoceros or a unicornus animal was by the historian Ctesias. Now that you can see my pronunciation right of that. That's what I put there. That's to help me pronounce this. Ctesias, that's how you would pronounce that. Who related that the Indian wild ass was the size of a horse, with a white body, purple head, and blue eyes. And on its forehead was a cubit-long horn, colored red at the pointed tip, black in the middle, and white at the base. Those who drank from its horn were thought to be protected from stomach trouble, epilepsy, and poison. It was very fleet of foot and difficult to capture. The actual animal behind Ctesias' description was probably the Indian rhinoceros. So that's what Britannica has to say about this animal. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to go through some scripture, and I'm going to show you in other parts of the Bible where the unicorn or unicorns is mentioned. And so, but what we'll do is we'll start off in the book of Job, because that's where we were last, and that's where, when I knew this animal was in here, and I said, you know what, let's just go ahead and turn over this stone. But if you'll notice in Job chapter 39, 9 through 12, Job chapter 39, 9 through 12, God is talking to Job, and he's brought a number of animals to him. Well, this unicorn, he's relating to it, and he makes some comments about him, and he's asking Job if he would be able to tame this animal or domesticate this animal. And so what he says here in the verses, starting with 9, it says, will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band? We're talking about ropes here. in the furrow? That's a ridge, a terrace or a ridge. Or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Now that word harrow means to break clods, plow, or to plow a field. So you would think of horses plowing a field, farmer plowing a field, breaking up the soil, the clods and stuff like that, getting the soil ready to have it planted. That's what he's talking about. And he says, wilt thou trust him because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn? So again, what he's saying is that he's saying, will you be able to domesticate this animal? He's saying that the animal is wild, that it cannot be tamed or domesticated or captured. And so now, going on, Numbers 23:22, God brought them out of Egypt. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. So there it goes there. Numbers 24:8. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He hath eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with his arrows. Going on, Psalm 29:6. He maketh them also to skip like a calf, Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. Psalm 92:10. But my horn shalt thou exalt like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Psalm 22:21. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorn. Deuteronomy 33:17. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. Isaiah 34:7. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with the blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. And so that's the areas in Scripture that is talking about the unicorns. And so what I did is I took the word unicorns, and I went into my old dictionaries to see what it had to say about unicorns, kind of look a little bit deeper. So this one here is my 1935 thick dictionary that you'll see behind me on a book stand. It says here, I'm just going to read what I did is I couldn't put it on my my copier because it was just so bulky and big. And so what I did is I just took a picture of it and with my smartphone, and here it is for your viewing. But it says here a unicorn. Unicornus, it means one-horned. Unus one and cornu horn. An animal with one horn, the monoceros. Now that monoceros, it means mono and horn. Any real or fabulous one-horned animal, a unicorn. The unicorn, a constellation surrounded by Hydra, Canis Major, Orion, and Canis Minor. All the stars in it are small. Going on, it says such an animal is frequently mentioned by Greek and Roman writers who generally describe it as a native of India, of the size and form of a horse. It is possible that one or other of the larger straight-horned antelopes may have formed the groundwork of the popular conception of this animal. And so it says in heraldry, a fabulous animal having the head and neck and body of the horse with a tuft of hair under the chin like a goat, the legs of a buck, the tail of a lion, and a long horn growing out of the middle of the forehead. The unicorn is one of the supporters of the royal arms of Great Britain in that posture termed, I guess that's supposed to be salient, And if you jump down to the fifth um, definition down there, it says a wrong translation in the authorized version of the Bible of the Hebrew word reem, the animal referred to was probably the urus. Now, the urus is a wild bull. It says there, if you'll notice, the mountain bull or Bos urus, described by Caesar, which ran wild in Gaul at the period of the Roman invasion, but has long been extinct. A genus of bovidae, including the aurochs, and extinct bison. And so that is what I gained from the 1935 Webster's 20th Century Dictionary on the unicorn. And so now Thayer's concordance here says that the unicorn is probably the great aurochs or wild bulls, which are now extinct, saying the same thing. But then it says at the bottom, the exact meaning is not known. And I did get that from a number of other sources, that they really are not sure exactly what that word means. But going on, it says in Easton's dictionary of the Bible, it says it was in reality a two-horned animal, but the exact reference of the word is so rendered reem is doubtful. Some have supposed it to be the buffalo. Others, the white antelope, called by the Arabs rim. Most probably, however, the word denotes the Bos, it's primigenius, a primitive ox, which is now extinct all over the world. This was the aurochs of the Germans, and the urus described by Caesar as inhabiting the, I guess that's Hercynian forest. The word thus rendered has been found in an Assyrian inscription written over the wild ox or bison, which some also suppose to be the animal intended. Now, I have a book that's entitled Rumors of Existence. If you'll notice that on the bottom right-hand corner, Rumors of Existence. And I was pretty confident that it mentioned this animal, and sure enough, it did in one of the chapters here. But it says here, and I just kind of gleaned some of the information out of it, and but it says here that two German zookeepers, they were brothers, named Lutz and Heinz Heck, attempted to bring back the auroch back from extinction around 1900. Lutz Heck crossed a Corsican cows and Spanish bulls to bring out the auroch's characteristics. 25 years later, he got his first auroch, complete with the distinctive spiral horns associated with the breed. Heinz Heck, working at the Munich Zoo, started from a different stock, including the West Highland cattle and the gray cattle of the Russian steppes, and produced a similar strain. Some were reintroduced into the wild where they became more aggressive and more distrustful of people. And the aggressiveness that they're talking about here would match what the Lord is saying about the unicorn in the Bible. But it's saying today, this is at the time of the book, which was 1995, there are some 200 of these animals which are generally not accepted as real aurochs. They don't accept them, I guess, as real aurochs. I guess it just depends on who you talk to. But guys, I went online, and this is what I could find as being what they considered the auroch to be. I guess since those gentlemen started trying to bring back the auroch by crossbreeding that kind of animal. And so, for what it's worth, this is the picture that I found. Very well, it's a very formidable animal, a very large animal, and supposedly highly aggressive. Now, I have another dictionary, the 1873 American Dictionary of the English Language, which is basically just a Webster's dictionary. Noah Webster was the one that put it together. But it says here, unicorn, from it's same thing, one-horned animal, having a single horn. But jumping down to one, definition one there, it says a fabulous animal with one horn, the monoceros, we talked about that, often represented in heraldry as a supporter. We talked about that. An animal of some, here we go, an animal of some unknown kind, so called in the scripture. That's what I like about the old Webster's dictionaries, is because they do bring up the Bible and scripture a lot. And then it quotes that scripture there, canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow? And so, but it also says, if you'll notice, this animal is supposed to be still extant. Now that word extant means it's still in existence or surviving. In Ethiopia, having been described by M. Ruppel as being an animal of a reddish color equal in size to a small horse, slender as the gazelle in its shape, and furnished with a long, slender, straight horn in the male, which is wanting in the female. And so what it's saying there is that only the males have the horn, the females do not. It is supposed by many that the oryx, remarkable for its long, slender horns, was most probably the animal which gave rise to the belief in the existence of the unicorn among the ancients. The unicorn of the Bible is commonly thought to have been the rhinoceros, but more probably it was some species of wild ox. Now, I looked up, did female rhinoceroses, do all of them have horns? Or is there certain maybe species of rhinoceroses that don't have horns? And what I looked up, I just looked up online, it did state that all of them do sport a horn. And so in this dictionary here, it said that the female was wanting, or basically was lacking that horn. And so I don't know. It may be a different animal, what they're talking about there. But the most popular of definitions seems to be the wild ox, or the auroch. It seems to be the most popular one. And then the one down from that is a rhinoceros. And so I will say this, when they're defining it, or they were translating the Hebrew word, they gave it the one-horned animal definition. And so I'm not sure, guys, on this. Could it be a rhinoceros, or a type of rhinoceros that is now extinct? I couldn't see a rhinoceros plowing the field for somebody, but I'm not sure. Whatever it was an animal of a ferocious nature, a very aggressive nature. Just for what it's worth, this is what I found on it. And so, again, popular translations seems to be that it is a very large wild ox that is supposedly extinct, though they have crossbred other animals, other cattle, to bring back the auroch, or at least the characteristics the physical characteristics that it had. And so, for what it's worth, that's what I found. And so, my best, what does Donnie think on it? Does he think it's a horse with a horn coming out of it? No, don't think it's a horse with a horn coming out of it. And so, I think it's probably, with me, I'm going to side with the possibility it very well could be a rhinoceros, a type of rhinoceros. And so it's just, I don't know. There's scripture that does talk about how there are animals, cattle, and that the unicorn is with it. And so that's a very possibility. I don't think a rhinoceros maybe would be running with cattle. And so, you can kind of make arguments for both of those. And so it just seems like, why did they define it with a one horn? That's the whole thing with me. And so unicorn doesn't mean a horse with a horn coming out of it. It means a one-horned animal. That's what it means. And so that is the reason why I'm kind of siding towards the rhinoceros. And so, but for what it's worth, guys, that's my thing. Why didn't they just call it a rhinoceros? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't call it, rhinoceros. And so, they're translating a Hebrew word. And so I don't know why they translated it the way they did. They're a whole lot smarter than me, I'll tell you that. And so I'm just going to accept it as that. And so it's either going to be a wild ox or it's going to be a rhinoceros. That seems to be the popular translations, with the wild ox being the most popular translation. Okay, I hope that's helped you out. And so that's going to do it for the book of Job and the whole dinosaurs. Are there dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible? And so I just thought I'd kind of round it up by adding the unicorn on your plate. You can kind of chew on that. And so, but at any rate, guys, it's a great topic, something you guys can talk about and bring it up in your Sunday school class. That'd probably be a great topic to bring up with them. And so you guys take care. Love you. Bye-bye.